Good day, everyone. I am Sauda Keita, the Program Assistant for the Flourish project. Thank you for joining us this afternoon for this critical discussion on female genital mutilation or cutting and the imperative role of service providers in supporting survivors. FGMC is defined as all procedures that involves partial or total removal of the external female genitalia or other injury to the female genital organs for non-medical reasons. The World Health Organization has classified FGMC into four types: clitoridectomy, incision, infibulation, and all other harmful procedures. FGMC is internationally recognized as a human rights violation and it is reported practice in about 30 countries in Africa and a few countries in Asia and the Middle East. The rise in international migration has also increased the number of impacted women and girls living in various diaspora populations, including in Australia, Europe, New Zealand, and North America. Approximately 200 million women and girls globally have undergone FGMC, and over 4.6 million are at risk of experiencing it each year. It is estimated over 100,000 of these survivors call Canada their home, which is why service providers must be adequately equipped to provide care and support to survivors who might be their clients. FGMC is a sensitive topic that requires a careful understanding of the issue and the context when caring for women living with FGMC. To facilitate the strengthening of service providers' knowledge, we want to share with you 5 things you need to understand about caring for survivors. Number 1, know the short and long-term health consequences of FGMC so that they can be addressed promptly and appropriately. FGMC has immediate health impacts such as urinary and wound healing difficulties, severe pain, bleeding, fever, and infections. Long-term consequences include chronic vulvar pain, urinary and vaginal difficulties, reproductive tract infections, scar tissues, painful menstruation, difficulty during intercourse, and increased risk of mental health disorders such as PTSD, anxiety, and depression. Service providers plays an important role in the improved health and well-being of survivors. However, many are underprepared to provide quality and care that addresses their unique needs. A cross-sectional survey of Canadian healthcare professionals showed that only about 45% of them were aware of the impacts of FGMC. So we urge service providers to take the effects and steps to learn about these health consequences and how to treat them. Number 2, careful ethical considerations and cultural sensitivity must be given when communicating with survivors or providing information about FGMC. We want to highlight that language and terminology are important when speaking about FGMC and having discussions with survivors. Mutilation is not a neutral word and can have a judgmental, stigmatizing, and biased undertone. Different terms can be used to refer to their practice depending on the context. We should always mirror women's preferred terms in language during interactions and conversation, whether that is circumcision, cutting, or mutilation. Given the communication challenges around FGMC, the responsibility of breaking the silence may lie with the service provider. Breaking communication barriers starts with showing the client's genuine respect. She will be more likely to trust and talk to you and accept your advice. Additionally, using language interpreters as needed during client interactions will ensure clear understanding and informed decision making. Survivors of any form of gender-based violence have access to free multilingual interpreter services through several community-based agencies across Ontario funded by the Ministry of Children, Community and Social Services. Service providers can visit the Government of Ontario webpage to find the agency that serves their region and start the process of accessing this free service for their clients. Number 3, be aware of assumptions, preconceptions, and bias about FGMC and and the community's impact as they can negatively affect respectful, sensitive, and safe care. Immigrants may acquire the belief, values, and customs of their new host country, but that does not necessarily mean that they will discard the beliefs, values, and customs of their country of origin, which can influence health behaviors. Providing services that embody culturally respectful care can be more challenging when our client's cultural background differs from our own and what we are familiar with in our everyday work. You should be aware that preconceptions associated with socio-cultural contexts can contribute to stigma and women's discomfort in engaging in a conversation about their experience related to the practice of FGMC. To achieve culturally safety, you should always make an effort to understand the underlying complexities of the cultural backgrounds and contexts in which survivors now live. Number 4, utilize intersectionality, transformation, and social justice in the delivery of care. Intersectionality teaches us that those impacted by FGMC are a diverse group of people with many intersecting identities, experiences, and needs. FGMC is only one of many issues and concerns that survivors might have, and the experience as immigrants and/or visible minority women living in Canada, and possibly as refugees or asylum seekers, should be considered in the delivery of care. Using an intersectional lens allows providers to consider other physical, emotional, or social needs the client may require in addition to response of FGMC complications. It calls for the accounting of the multitude of identities that overlap and interact with each other to create unique lived experiences. It requires accounting for inequity and injustice, which may be experienced um, by those at intersecting margins. For example, your client may have recently fled an area of conflict, lost a close family member, or suffered violence or sexual abuse. There should be a focus on her mental health in care delivery, with a refugee status or living at the poverty line. Your client may be housed or food insecure and has limited funds for transportation to attend appointments. What we aim for with intersectionality is holistic care and response. Number 5, implementing trauma-informed care practices. Trauma-informed care is an approach that recognizes that trauma is pervasive in nature and promotes environments of healing and recovery rather than practices and services that may lead to re-traumatization. Trauma-informed clinical interaction may cause or be influenced by a sense of discomfort in starting a conversation and differences and the understanding of the nuance of what constitutes a traumatic event. The 6 principles of trauma-informed care includes prioritizing safety throughout service delivery, building trust and transparency, emphasizing peer support to facilitate collaboration, and utilizing their stories and lived experiences to promote recovery and healing, acknowledging the client's role in their healing to foster empowerment and choice, and actively addressing cultural, historical, and gender biases to move past stereotypes and biases in service delivery. Ensure that you approach all encounters with an appropriate knowledge base and strive to learn more. As highlighted earlier, become familiar with FGMC, its health consequences, to help guide treatment plans. Always meet clients where they are and let them voice their concerns and experiences through supportive and active listening. Familiarize, Familiarize yourself with referral methods to local support groups and resources and advocates for your clients in any legal process. In conclusion, this understanding of FGM of this FGMC Facebook Live serve as a comprehensive guide for service providers in addressing female genital mutilation or cutting, recognizing it as a form of gender-based violence rooted in inequality. This presentation explored 5 critical tips, spanning from understanding health consequences to embracing trauma-informed care practices. With approximately 200 million women and girls living with FGMC globally and are over 100,000 survivors in Canada, the Flourish project aims to emphasize the pivotal role of service providers in offering culturally sensitive, survivor-centered, and trauma-informed responses. Overcoming communication challenges, challenging biases, and employing a holistic care approach were highlighted, along with the availability of free multilingual interpreter services. We urge participants to explore the different resources available on our website, flourishaccess.ca, which includes our toolkit, interactive service map, and the Challenging Science podcast. Also, we invite you to join the mailing list through our website for updates on project activity and deepening your commitment to supporting survivors with understanding, empathy, and cultural competency. Your engagement is highly valued in this collective effort, and thank you for being a part of this critical conversation.